If you've ever thought back to your first car, the one your family or friends handed down, you probably assumed at the very least it was safe enough to get you around. But what if I told you that some of the everyday vehicles people once trusted were anything but safe? Today, we're peeling back the curtain on 10 models that were not just flawed, but fundamentally dangerous, exposing the very real threats baked into their designs. Number 1. Ford Pinto. Imagine owning a car where a simple rear-end tap could turn into an inferno. That was the reality for thousands of Ford Pinto drivers in the 1970s. Ford placed the fuel tank right behind the rear axle without strong braces or shielding, so even a low-speed collision risked rupturing the tank and igniting spilled fuel. When accidents happened, lawsuits piled up. Victims and families came forward with stories of crashes that instantly became deadly fireballs. Court cases, media coverage, and public outrage soon branded the Pinto as the car of death. The controversy grew worse when evidence revealed Ford delayed making changes because fixing the flaw was considered too costly. The Pinto became the symbol of profits over people, a decision that etched fire-trap Pintos into history. But not every unsafe car was born of obvious shortcuts. Some dangers appeared in far subtler disguises. Number 2. Yugo GV. What if the cheapest new car in America also turned out to be one of the most dangerous? That was the hidden cost of the Yugo GV. Priced for buyers who wanted a brand new set of wheels on a used car budget, it came with more risks than most realized. The Yugo's structure was so weak that even small accidents could compromise the cabin. Reports showed that its thin construction offered little real crash protection, and safety technology was practically non-existent. Add to that constant breakdowns, engines stalling, parts failing, electrical systems cutting out, and owners were left driving a lottery ticket on wheels. It quickly became a nationwide punchline, but for drivers caught in accidents, none of it was funny. The Yugo proved how affordability without engineering discipline was gambling with lives. Sometimes companies pursued innovation instead of economy, with results just as hazardous. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 3. Chevrolet Corvair. What happens when one of the biggest automakers ignores warning signs? The Chevrolet Corvair gave us that answer. Built with a rear-mounted engine and a swing axle suspension, early models were unstable in tight corners. The rear wheels could tuck under, sending the car sliding or even rolling during maneuvers that other vehicles handled with ease. In 1965, Ralph Nader's book, Unsafe at Any Speed, exposed these flaws, citing internal documents that showed GM knew of the risks but avoided costly fixes. Chevrolet eventually added a transverse leaf spring in 1964, but the damage to public trust was already done. The uproar surrounding the Corvair helped push through the 1966 National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act, forcing automakers to adopt stricter standards. While GM aimed to save money, the Corvair ended up rewriting U.S. automotive safety, and the world was now watching abroad. Number 4. Suzuki Samurai. Imagine taking a compact SUV on the road, only to realize it could tip over during an ordinary turn. That was the problem with the Suzuki Samurai. Its short wheelbase and tall stance made it unstable, and instead of hugging the road, it often fought against it. Drivers didn't need to push limits. The risk showed up in everyday situations like lane changes or sharp corners. In 1988, Consumer Reports put the Samurai through a cornering test, and the results shocked viewers. The small SUV lifted onto two wheels, and the magazine declared it unsafe at any speed. Suzuki pushed back with lawsuits, but by then the damage was irreversible. Physics won against advertising, and the Samurai never shook its rollover stigma. It became a warning to buyers that small SUVs could hide big dangers, unlike the sleek sports cars that carried flaws of their own. Number 5. DeLorean DMC12. The car that starred in Back to the Future may have looked like tomorrow's technology, but in reality, its safety belonged in the past. The stainless steel panels that gave the DeLorean DMC12 its shine weren't structural at all, they were just cosmetic. In a collision, they offered no real support, and the weak chassis underneath couldn't handle significant impact. Then there were the gull-wing doors. While they looked futuristic, they became a serious hazard in emergencies. If the car flipped or the frame bent, the doors could jam, trapping anyone inside with a little chance of escape. Add in the rear-mounted engine that raised fire risks during crashes, and drivers were left with a car that emphasized style over protection. The DeLorean's legacy shows looks alone can't guarantee safety, especially when some designs sacrifice durability for the promise of affordability. Number 6. Geo Metro. What if your survival in a crash depended on whether your car had any real body strength? That was the gamble every Geo Metro owner faced. Built to chase economy numbers, the Metro weighed so little that its thin frame barely stood up to crash tests. On paper, it was a dream for commuters. Nearly 50 miles per gallon at a time when fuel costs worried almost everyone. But the reality was sobering. Safety experts pointed to its wafer-thin body panels, a lack of side impact protection, and virtually no ability to absorb energy in collisions. Even at modest speeds, drivers and passengers were frighteningly exposed. The Metro showed how the desire for maximum mileage stripped away basic survival safeguards. And while it was praised for saving gas, similar budget experiments overseas took the same dangerous shortcuts, with equally risky results. Number 7. Tata Nano. The Tata Nano was celebrated as the world's most affordable car, marketed as a way to put millions of families on 4 wheels. But the very feature that made it famous, its price, also made it dangerously unsafe. To keep costs under $3,000, engineers stripped away essentials like airbags, side protection, and even basic crumple zones. Crash investigations showed how severe this compromise really was. In impacts that better engineered cars might absorb, the Nano's frame collapsed, leaving drivers and passengers with virtually no barrier against injury. For families chasing mobility, the results could be catastrophic. Critics argued no bargain justified eliminating life-saving protections. The Nano became a stark example of what happens when affordability outweighs responsibility. It wasn't just one car at risk. Entire populations faced greater danger on crowded roads. And Europe's own budget models would soon reveal similar flaws. Number 8. Fiat Panda. The Fiat Panda was a cheerful little runabout that became a bestseller across Europe. But its charm came with serious risks. Families loved its practical design and low cost. Yet underneath, it lacked the most basic safety structures you'd expect in a daily driver. Early models had frames so fragile that even low-speed impacts could cause severe cabin deformation. European crash evaluations revealed troubling results, with front and side protection rated as almost non-existent. In city traffic, where stop-and-go crashes were common, drivers and passengers faced exposure instead of protection. Despite being marketed as reliable and family-friendly, the Panda's design left critical safety gaps. For many owners, its affordability and convenience overshadowed the dangers they couldn't see. The small city car reminded buyers that even popular models can carry hidden threats, and those problems didn't disappear in newer imports. Number 9. Chery QQ. What if your car looked like a familiar bestseller but performed like a paper shell in an accident? That was the case with the Chery QQ. At first glance, it resembled the Daewoo Matiz, sharing the same compact hatchback shape and styling. But beneath the surface, the similarities ended. Crash tests revealed alarming results. Even at relatively low speeds, the QQ's entire front section folded, collapsing into the passenger cabin. Seatbelts and restraints offered little defense because the body structure itself disintegrated. Occupants were left facing extreme risks in situations where better-built cars would have absorbed most of the impact. Safety experts pointed to a lack of rigorous engineering. It wasn't just cheap, it was hazardous by design. The QQ became a warning that unchecked cost-cutting in rapidly growing markets could create deadly consequences, even for cars marketed as safe choices for city driving. Number 10. Smart Fortwo. Marketed as the ultimate city-friendly microcar, the Smart Fortwo built a reputation as compact, easy to park, and safe in controlled crash tests. On paper, its reinforced safety cell looked impressive. But drivers soon discovered that real-world conditions told a very different story. In collisions with larger vehicles, The car's size worked against it. Even with solid crash ratings, the Fortwo's tiny frame couldn't absorb the energy transfer when hit by an SUV or truck. That left occupants exposed to forces safety technology couldn't truly protect against. Its design also included a short wheelbase and upright stance, making the car unpredictable at highway speeds. Sudden lane changes or evasive maneuvers often led to loss of stability. The Smart Fortwo showed that engineering alone can't overcome physics, proving some designs turn ordinary driving into a gamble with survival. Unsafe cars prove the problem isn't always reckless drivers. It's design decisions built right into the vehicle. Time and again, companies chose cost savings, flashy looks, or convenience over the safety of the people behind the wheel. Each disaster made one thing clear. A low price tag or stylish body doesn't mean protection. That history carries an important lesson. Don't take marketing promises at face value. Ask what's underneath the design. Real progress in auto safety only happened after flaws were exposed, reminding us that every breakthrough was paid for by uncovering the true cost of neglect.